All right, so welcome to the tentatively named Here We Go Cleveland podcast. I'm Bill Hebel,
Number two.
number two on the not in our hearts. That's not just on the scoreboard. Number two, the
Yeah.
second podcast we've done. Um, number one, and at least all my friends' hearts. But we've got Mike Zappa on the other line. Um, where we may be a little distracted during this first, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes of the podcast because we're both watching the Indians 22 game on the line 22 game win streak. Currently, for those who care, if they listen tomorrow, it's bottom of the eighth, one out. Jose Ramirez is up to bat. Indians are down 2-1 to the Royals. They've seen some chances. They haven't really gotten many people past or runners in scoring position in a few innings now. But I don't know. Maybe that late inning they really haven't had to have much late inning magic like in any of these games. I mean, they've blown
Right.
teams out of the water. I think they've only had like 3 1-run games the entire streak.
They said that the average score of the 21 games was 7-2. That's how much they've outscored their opponents by. So,
Well,
yeah,
yeah, including yesterday's when um, their run differential just during a streak was 104, and the Cubs the entire season their run differential is 103.
that's
Like,
insane.
there's only I think 7 teams that have more than 100 this entire season, and the Indians like have just exploded for it in 21 games. Like,
The best part about streaks in any sport is comparing them to other sports, streaks in other sports,
yeah,
and it's a completely unfair comparison, but everyone seems to do it. Like today there was a poll that was the 2011 the Huskies that won, the women's basketball team that
oh
won like
yeah,
111 games straight. It was the Patriots when they won 18 and
yeah,
lost in the
yeah.
Super Bowl. And what was the other big streak that I can't remember now?
I don't know. I mean, recently, like
But
the Heat went on like a 27 game tear or something like that during the lockout season. I don't know if that was it or not. I don't think any hockey team, maybe a hockey team. I don't know.
the Blue
Blue
Jackets, didn't they
Jackets,
win
yeah,
like 20 straight
they
last year?
they had a crazy streak. Yeah, I'm not sure. It was something in the 20s. I want to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to compare streaks across sport, but when you look back at how many times a 21 game streak has been done in the last, I mean, now you're at basically 100. I don't know when stats started being kept for baseball for things like win streaks, but in the last 100 years, a team has won 20 games only, what, three times?
Yeah,
And a team has won 21 twice now.
twice now.
And
Yeah,
which really it's once because the
right.
1916 New York Giants, the
Yeah.
baseball team, they had a tie in their 12th game. But I was listening to the radio today and they said they didn't have lights back then.
Okay.
So it was a 1-1 game, and basically it got dark and they didn't have lights on the field, so they had to call it, and then they came back the next day and replayed and won, and that was in game 12. So
Okay.
realistically
So
they went on a 12 game winning streak, had a tie, had a break, and then went on a, oh, let's go, let's go.
I'm delayed.
Oh no. Oh shit. All right, so for those of you listening, Jose Ramirez just hit it down the left field line, advanced Greg Allen to third base. So now it's one out, guy on second and third. So here we go. God, how amazing has Jose Ramirez been? When we
He's been.
when we signed him before the season to a 4-year extension, and
Yeah.
I honestly was like, what a, and I'll admittedly, I was like, what a waste of money. I mean, I know
Right.
he was okay last
Right.
year, but I don't know what the numbers we signed him to, but I was like, that's the guy that we're extending.
Right.
And
Right.
and now he's had like an MVP caliber
Yeah,
season.
he's hitting. I don't think anyone. the offense has exploded obviously during the streak. I don't think anyone's hitting 400, but he's like 398. I mean, he's right there, and he's hit home every hit he had like at bat he has seems to be like important or
Yeah.
it's just and his
I mean,
defense is crazy too. He took over for Kipnis, moving over from third base, and it's just been unreal.
the guy's 3 for 3 tonight. I mean, with a walk. So
Yeah,
his his on base percentage has to be like tops in the leagues
right.
because he's just always on base and he plays so hard. Like he turns singles into doubles. He had that stolen base earlier
Mm-hmm.
tonight, but overslid the bag. But he beat the throw. The guy just plays so hard. It's
Right,
fun to watch him
right.
play.
I think before the streak he had that. He I don't know if he tied some MLB record for like the most extra base hits. He had like 14 bases total in one game with 5 hits. It was like three doubles and 2 home runs or something, or 3 home runs and 2 doubles or something like that. Like it was crazy. So interesting thing you mentioned before we started recording this that you wanted to talk about how we thought the streak would end and
Yeah. So I don't
talking.
want to be pessimistic,
No,
but
no, but
also
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Okay, so listening, this is a kind of funny story when I heard you say that because a couple weeks ago, so I'm going to the game Saturday, um, and a couple weeks ago I was telling my dad and brother when we were talking about it that I didn't think the streak was going to last until Saturday. So it's kind of crazy to see that it's almost come this far.
Yeah. And I mean, probably 2 weeks ago, they were probably at maybe 12 games, 11, 12 games.
Yeah,
And at that point, you're thinking, wow, this is a really good streak. Like, it's tough to win 10, 11, 12 games in a row in the MLB. It's a long season. And at that point, you're like, yeah, there's no way. And now, 2 weeks later, here we are, 21 games deep,
right.
and bases juiced, 2 outs, Carlos Santana at the plate. It's crazy. But yeah, so I just thought, I don't want to be pessimistic about it, but it's fun to forecast. So all good things must come to an end. So it's just there's a million different ways for a streak like this to end. I think if the game ended right now, you would look to that slide past. Well, I'm not quite sure what you would point the loss to. I mean, if it ended just like this, then I don't know who you put it on, but
Yeah,
is
yeah.
it is it gonna? Well, they scored their second run on an Abel Monte error,
Right,
basically, because he
right.
tried to
Yeah.
slide and catch the ball. So I guess you would put it on an outfielder error,
Yeah.
but I don't know if. Oh, get out of here! Ah, are you still delayed?
This 30-second delay. It's he's at a 1-1 count right now, but
All right. Well, I won't tell you what happens.
okay. Well, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It had to come to an end at some point, and it's kind of good to you know not completely dodge yourself into the postseason, but it is good to kind of lose a couple times. Obviously this streak wasn't going to go until all the way through until
Yeah.
October, but I mean just the fact that they've gotten this hot and stayed this hot for like this time of year. I mean, Kluber has just been lights out the whole second
Yeah.
half. Basically since he came back from the DL, and Carrasco. I mean, I don't know if you look at the stats, Clevenger might have better stats than Carrasco, but I feel like Carrasco is probably like the Cy Young of the Indians during this streak, um, and then just all these bats that have just been hit. I mean, Perez has just been hitting like no other. Like Urshela has had
Brandon
some good
Geyer.
games. Yeah, Geyer. Um,
Yeah. Well, and the coolest part about it, I think, is they're so fun to watch, right? Like
right.
it's not just pitching, it's not just batting, it's not or offense, it's not just great defense. Like in order to go on a streak this long, you have to have all three phases working. and when the bats haven't been there, the pitching's picked it up, and they've only needed a few runs to get it done. But
Right.
for the most part, the offense has been there. And after the game last night, you gotta love Jay Bruce. He is just like a class act, and
Right.
he's been so good since he came over. Besides just flying out with two guys on, but other than that, or bases loaded and one out. But anyway, he's been great. And they interviewed him last night, and he was just like, "I feel like I found a home here." And I think a big part of doing something like we've done is liking the guys in your clubhouse.
Yeah.
And I think that's like especially as of lately with all the crap that's gone on with Kyrie and LeBron and all these what seems like divas, the baseball still seems like a gentleman's sport.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a lot of sportsmanship to it. It's a long season, so and these guys and the Indians, this team just seems like they're having just a lot of fun playing for each other, and it's a really cool thing to see in professional sports because I don't think you always see it because there's so much money involved. It's like, hey, this is my job. This isn't a hobby, which I get, but I mean they're having a blast. So.
Right. Yeah, and I'm not really sure if that ties into the Indians being or Cleveland being a sort of a mid-market team for baseball, and a lot of these guys came up through the farm system and played together a lot during the on the Clippers and
Yeah.
before that in Akron. Um, and a lot of these guys, yeah, I mean they've made some really good free agent acquisitions, but a lot of these guys have really developed through the Indians, you know, organization. And I don't know if we just like didn't see it before because we weren't winning a lot like in previous seasons, 5-10 years ago, but um, it just seems like the organization is like really on point of how they
Yeah.
develop guys and like they know what roles to develop guys, and it's just
Well, and they're signing guys kind of before they reach their full potential, which
mhm,
is a bold move, right? Like
right.
because if you sign I guess, and from my point of view, if you sign someone to before they've really peaked to something above kind of their market value, it looks like a reach, right?
Yeah.
But then once they reach their full potential, then it looks like an incredible value. Like so, for example, perfect example is Corey Kluber. So if he were a free agent this year, he would probably get 25 million a year from the Yankees or the Dodgers or some large market team like that. But I think he's been making maybe 8 million this year, and
Something. Yeah.
The Indians have him under contract for 4 more years if they want to.
Yeah.
And I think he's over 30, but that at the time they made that deal, I'm sure Corey Kluber wasn't an ace. I mean, he was probably our second or third pitcher, but they just have a great team in place that can, I guess, see that potential. And the same thing with Jose Ramirez. Like I said earlier, your casual fan, I think I'm a little bit more than just a casual fan, but not a super fan, thought like Jose Ramirez, does he really warrant a 4-year extension? And look at this year.
Hmm.
And same thing. I mean, we locked up Kipnis early. We locked up Jan Gomes early, which Jan Gomes hasn't been
Yeah.
great. But
I
I
mean,
think it's
catcher's
just
been our worst position, so it's.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean Lindor, we've got him locked up for a while, and it seems like all these guys. I mean, maybe some of the younger guys, Lindor doesn't as much have a chip on their shoulder, but a lot of these guys, kind of seem to have that. And I think Kipnis, especially, he was overlooked a lot in college, and he was, probably overlooked in the Indians farm system for a while, and it took him probably a little longer to develop. But he has been great, and it's kind of weird seeing. I know a lot of Indians fans have actually uh, been negative toward Kipnis um, because of his injuries this year, and it's kind of like it. It's weird because you don't want to see Indians fans being negative towards him, but he's taken it really positively, and he's turned it into, well, I'm not going to come back and take Ramirez's spot. I'm going to come back and play whatever role that the Indians want me to, which is why he's coming back to play center field on Sunday um, for Zimmer. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I've
No, that's a great point because I think that it's like a testament to Tito's management style is that he's got everyone believing that it's like, look, I don't have to play my natural position. They'll they'll pinch hit me, they'll pinch run me, they'll play me where I need to play and where I can be the biggest value of the team. And it's like everyone is on board. And like I said, I think it's kind of a rarity in sports where you get this kind of bond between teammates. And like last year, obviously it was easy to fall in love with the Indians in the postseason because they just went on a tear. They were a Cinderella story, underdog,
mhm.
whatever you want to call it, and doing it against all odds with injuries to the pitching staff and stuff like that. And after we lost the World Series, I thought to myself, I was like, man, I was so in love with this team because you had guys like Mike Napoli kind of leading the team and being the voice of the team, and then you had guys like Rajai Davis like coming up with clutch hits, and he's just kind of a, a plug and play player.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, he was
he's
kind of
not
a
known for yeah. So it was just like wow. I mean, it's just so great that they put it all together, and I was like, I don't know with losing Napoli and Rajai Davis, I don't know if I'm going to be able to fall as hard for this team this year. But
mhm.
with this stretch, seeing them play so much together for each other, like I'm back on. It's like it has just been so fun to watch them play, and we might never see it again in our lifetimes, a 21 game win streak. So
Right.
we're heading into
Right.
the bottom of the ninth, so it's not over yet, but uh, we'll see.
Yeah.
Got the back end of the lineup here, so
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, I put on Gamecast, so maybe I will not be as delayed.
I'll
Um,
Bill,
you
I'll do my
try
best.
to
I'll
hide your
do my
maybe.
best.
Maybe I should turn
I'll
off
do
the
my best.
video during the some of these
Yeah,
portions. Um,
to mask.
yeah, it is. It is. I mean, it is hectic. Even though I knew it was gonna, it's always gonna probably end at some point. It's just that they'd never had a game like this where they've had to make a crazy comeback. And talking about fun earlier, I was thinking how, when you look back at the World Series run and the 14 game winning streak they had last year, those didn't really seem as fun as this one has been. I don't
I
know if it's
agree.
because it's a different team. They went through that World Series together, and now because that was probably a greater run for that team, but it wasn't fun from like a Cleveland fan perspective because we're just constantly like sweating out every win, hoping that they will come away with something. And the same with the 14 game winning streak before, like that was just completely overshadowed by the Cavs win. I mean, I don't even think
Are you talking about last year's or this year's?
last year's, like
Yeah,
right after the finals, they went on a tear, and it was kind of like you didn't even realize they were going on a tear until it was over because the Cavs had just overshadowed
right.
everything.
Well, and I think the timing in the season has to do with it too, right? Like this is later in the season when I think people tend to drift a little, I guess, focus a little more on baseball because we're past the dog days and we're into September now, and
Hmm.
it's like October's just around the corner. So,
Right.
I mean, it's yeah, I think that's part of it too. But no, I agree 100% that last year's win streak was kind of like here and gone before you realized it even happened.
Right. Yeah.
So
And it's yeah. I think last year I think we were first in the Central last year, but this year, coming down to September, you're only starting to look at the top 8, maybe 10 teams in each league, which that really narrows like the focus down, and then you start looking at the top teams a lot to see what like home field advantage is going to be. I mean I can't believe how close we're coming to the Dodgers. I think we're only like 4 games. They won the last 2 games to end their little skid, but I think we're within 4 games of them to get home field advantage throughout the World Series, which would be just unbelievable. So if you were to say at the beginning of August that the Indians would be within like 4 games of the Dodgers, who everyone was talking about maybe even breaking the overall wins record for a season. So I mean, this run has just been.
Do you know what the overall wins record is? Probably like 110 or something, 115.
I think it was the
It was the
Mariners in
Mariners.
2002. Um, I want to say it was like 116 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it looks like got a single.
Hey, you made it. Get there faster, Bill. Get there faster. I did a good job masking my emotions, but one out single.
All
But yeah,
right.
anyway, I mean, it's like I said, just no one from the Indians organization will ever hear this, but
Mm-hmm.
it has been so fun, right? Like just to witness it
Yeah.
because it's been a while since there was this type of magic in the regular season. So,
Yeah. It's
I mean,
been yeah. I mean, Jordan Bastion had that great tweet about the last time the Indians lost, like the stamp cost 49 cents, a gallon of milk was still 2.29. It was like one of those things where you usually look back like 50 years. So it was funny to see him look back and make a little snide remark on what it has been in since the Indians last lost. And in the Windows World or whatever the place was called, Lumber Liquidators Place, that gave
yeah,
the free. I mean, who would have guessed that? That is
yeah.
insane that they would have made that deal. Um,
I obviously did not have windows and doors placed by it was Universal Windows who
Universal,
ran the
yeah, that's
promotion.
right.
I did not have doors or siding done in July, and I was not eligible for the promotion. But I was seriously so excited for those people
Oh yeah,
because
yeah,
they I don't know if we talked about this last week, but we couldn't have
no,
because
yeah,
but they brought everyone in. They had a huge party for the 15th game because if they won 15 in a row, then everyone got their
right.
July
Broke the
orders.
yeah.
Yeah, and they ended up paying out $1.7 million. And I saw an interview with the owner of Universal Windows.
Mm-hmm.
It's a local company, and he was just so excited that it worked out for everyone and
Yeah.
people. I mean, so it was 266 customers,
Okay.
and they paid it out 1.7 million. So the average customer got like $5,600, which is crazy.
That
Could
is
you imagine?
crazy. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that would be, and obviously some people had like they interviewed someone with a $30,000 job on the line that he just like replaced all of his windows and doors, all of his siding, and
Wow.
yeah. So anyway, so where are you at with GameCast?
Well, I saw it. I was shaking in my boots as the double play was ensuing, but
Okay,
thank God for the
all right.
slide by Naquin. Um,
So do you do you want to watch this? Do you want to follow this at bat, and then you can just cut out the silence so we can see this
yeah.
Frankie Lindor, two
Yeah.
out, first base, potentially last. Potentially last at bat.
Yeah. Let's see what happens here.
Yeah.
For me, on my end, I guess you've already seen it.
No, I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
you haven't
I
seen it.
still
Okay.
no. I mean, like, yeah.
All right.
So I
Let's
haven't
kind of
seen.
a moment of silence
Yeah.
for the Indians win streak right now.
You tell me when something